and welcome everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here. My name is José Almeida. I'm the CEO of Energia Unida, that is a 100% subsidiary of Greenvolt. And it's amazing to be here for several reasons. And the first of those reasons is that if this event took place last year, the amazing thing is that Energia Unida first will not exist yet. Second, we couldn't imagine that 1 year later, Energia Unida is already implementing 40 energy communities corresponding to 29 megawatts of installed capacity. And this says a lot about the challenge that we all face, and probably is part of the reason why you are here in this room. And I hope I'll be able to share a little bit light about what Greenvolt Energia Unida does and why we believe that it's better to be part of the solution than part of the problem. So very quickly, Greenvolt, as I said, it's the company. Most of you, at least the people here in Portugal that follow the energy market, know that we our IPO was done more or less 1 year ago in July 2021. And we've been focused, and our strategy focused on green energy. So we are 100% born green, as we say, and with three different areas of business. Biomass, that actually is our core business and our genesis of our company. Renewable utility scale, big projects, especially across Europe and in the US, that we are developing wind and solar parks. And the third part of our business, or the third core of our business, is what we call decentralized generation. That 1 year ago was basically an idea, and right now it's with a great proud, I would say, that we are leading the market in Portugal, and we hope to translate this to other countries. So coming back to this third part, and João says this a lot when the road show last year was done before the IPO. Of the 150 investors that talked with us, only one understood why we were betting on decentralized energy. 1 year later, as you know, in July this year, we did a raise of capital. Everyone knew what we were doing and were very interested in what we were doing. And the reason is, if you look to these graphs, that is also in our prospect of IPO, if someone wants to check. Especially for Portuguese people, it's kind of ironic to say that we are so proud about the sun. We believe that the sun is our asset, but we do so little to take advantage of that asset. And I think it's remarkable that the country that has a better use of decentralized generation is Belgium, that, for example, Brussels has half of the solar irradiation of Lisbon, and still we are here. I believe that Greenvolt, Energia Unida, and all the companies that belong to the group are doing something, and that something is to take a part of this advantage, and that's why I believe decentralized energy is a part of the solution. And as you probably know, now, kind of 1 year later, it's easy to see, especially after the European Commission announced this July that their aim is to allow solar energy, rooftop solar energy, to cover 25% of consumption by 2030. That is coming from 5% right now, basically, 2020 to 25. For people in the energy sector, I think this gives the idea of the potential and the challenge. So Greenvolt, we position ourselves in I would say, in this sector in a very specific position. We are proud of having a focus and niche strategy. Again, we focus on producing green energy and to allow families, companies to benefit of clean and cheaper energy. We don't do supply, so we are not suppliers, or in Portuguese, comercializadores de energia. We only focus on production and serving the clients. And that's a very important point about our differentiating the market, because that shows also that we are committed with our mission, that is reduce the energy costs of our clients, families, enterprise with clean energy. So we developed, Energia Unida was a specific project inside Greenvolt 1 year ago, more or less, and focus on what we will see here, why we believe that collective self-consumption, energy communities, I will discuss a little bit what are the meaning of the two terms, but basically it's the same. We have rooftops, we have car parks, we have land that is not no use, and we have a challenge of doing energy transition fast, and that delivers benefits to people and companies. So this was actually, for those that know Greenvolt, our strategy of growth has been a lot M&A. Energia Unida is the only organic growth company that we developed, and I think I'm very proud to share with you what we have been accomplished in less than 1 year. So this is a little bit probably what we have been discussing here this couple of days, energy transition, what it means, what is the reality of today, and what us and other companies that are also embracing the challenge of energy transition are doing. But we believe that we can do it differently, and that's why at Greenvolt Group we believe that we can have real impact in the short term, medium term, and long term. And looking to what people want now, they want solutions, and as you know, the centralized model is not offering solutions. I think everyone in this room should know that increasing production of renewable energy at a centralized model is, I would say, right now a utopia. And people need the energy. We are not, as a society, willing to accept blackouts, but blackouts can happen. And as you know, this winter will be challenging for Europe. So what can we do in terms of answering to the needs of companies and families? Two things. The first thing is obvious, but sometimes people don't say it. Energy efficiency is the cheapest energy that exists. So if you want to focus on cutting your bill, focus on energy efficiency. The second thing that you can do is to look to solutions of decentralized generation. And within this spectrum, we believe energy communities, because they allow sharing energy, are the one that brings more value, not only for the people that install the solar panels, but also for the community that is around these people, and even for the society as general, as I will try to explain. So what is the energy communities opportunity? And here, I will say that's very important. Energy communities is a broad term that we use because, fortunately, I think people are able to connect what we mean. It's a community, meaning there are different people belonging to this organization with different profiles, and they have a common purpose. So we use this term, us, Energia Unida and Greenvolt, but legally, and for the people that are here from the legal background, there are some distinctions that I would like to make here. We use the word to designate two things: collective self-consumption and renewable energy communities. They are different things from a legal point of view, but in basics, in the material aspect, they are the same. It's about sharing energy between producers and consumers at the local level. The difference is, while collective self-consumption in Portugal doesn't require the creation of any entity, autonomous entity with juridical personality, renewable energy communities require. It can be a company, it can be a cooperative, it can be an association, but it needs to have some juridical personality. So right now, when I say, just to clear this aspect for you to understand what we do, when I mention energy communities at Energia Unida, I'm talking about collective self-consumption. And the reason is that this figure comes from, and to represent an opportunity that is not only located in Portugal, is a European opportunity that existed before the war, and I think now it becomes very obvious that needs to be put in front of our energy strategy in Europe. Fortunately, European Union already done a step in that aspect with the review of RAID 2 to create the possibility of develop collective self-consumption and renewable energy communities. And also, fortunately for us, Portuguese, the Portuguese government was one of the first to transpose the directive, and even going ahead with the directive, especially the law that it was published in the beginning of this year, that creates something that for me it was really the tipping point for the solution, that was making clear what is the energy community boundaries. So again, another concept that you should have in mind: the sharing in Portugal is allowed between a production installation and a consumer according to the level of voltage of the installation of the production. What is this meaning? If there is installation that is in low voltage, you can share your energy to up to 2 kilometers. If it's medium voltage, up to 4 kilometers, high voltage 10 kilometers, and very high voltage 20 kilometers. Let's say most of the things will follow into the two categories initial, low voltage or medium voltage. The rest is more, I will say, more exceptions, but 4 kilometers is a lot. If you, I challenge yourself when you go home or even during this day, go to Google Earth, put some pin in Google Earth in the middle of Lisbon and make a circle of 4 kilometers. I think you will be surprised how much it's included in those 4 kilometers of the potential energy community. So that's kind of the fundamental of this project is this opportunity. And what we do with the energy community. So the energy community is actually bringing different profiles, different needs of people, and allowing a maximization of value from economical point of view, social point of view, and environment point of view. I think I would like to stress this because I think Greenvolt can have some claim to this because we also do utility scale projects of renewals. But when we talk about renewal projects, we should be all aware, especially the big project, there is always a trade-off with the environment. There is always. It's wind parks, you know the impact, and it's probably the most obvious, but also solar packs. So the big solar parks, they have impact also in the environment. So why, and that's the question that I will bring for you to think, why don't we take advantage of the space that are already humanized, that are the rooftops, are the parking lots, are the lands that don't have any use? Why don't we put solar panels there? And by the way, they are close to consumption. So you don't need to invest in transport and you don't need to invest in distribution because you are using the same network that is already there. The investment is already there. And most of the times, the distribution network is being subused. So we, again, from a social point of view, we are using scarce resources in a more efficient way. And that's why the economics of the solution don't depend on subsidiation, they don't depend on rules, they depend on the willing of people and the awareness of people that is a solution to reduce your energy costs. So, very close, very quickly, a little bit of comparison between what we had previously and what this new figure, especially after the law this year, what is the difference? Self-consumption. As you know, in Portugal, there is no subsidiation for decentralized generation. So your benefit is what you consume. That was what we had up to this model. And that was good. So you probably saw or you know people that installed in their homes or in their companies solar panels. So what happened before? You install your solar panels, and what is your benefit? What you consume from the solar panels. What you don't consume typically would got lost in the grid and you will not benefit. So what was the perfect scenario? You would match your consumption in peak with your production. So that's what people do, and sometimes people were even surprised, like, oh, I have a big house, but why I only should put 3 panels? Because your consumption doesn't allow, and it's not economical to put more solar panels. So this was what existed, and again, if you had like a match between production and consumption, perfect, it was a very good solution, but most of the time this doesn't happen. Think about, for example, a company, a factory. The factory typically works from Monday to Friday, but what happens in Saturday and Sunday? The solar panels will be there, the sun will shine, in most of the cases in Portugal, so why don't we take that advantage of that energy and share it with someone that actually has more activity during the weekend? For example, hotels. Hotels typically have a consumption that is higher during the weekend than the week. So if you put them together, you have a better use, not only for the two of them, but for the society as a whole. So the two benefits that come with the solution remind you that the solar panels are the same, the inverters are the same, it's all the same. We are talking about a difference on the business model and the platform that allows this to happen. The rest is all the same. what you can do is to increase the self-consumption of the entity that has the solar panels, because of course, if you are not concerned if you will consume or not, you can install all the rooftop available, all the space available. It's not your concern. If you consume more, for example, you decide to transform your fleet of cars to electric cars, your consumption will go up. So you can improve that. Or you do an energy efficiency measure, for example, climatization, and you reduce significantly your consumption. You don't matter because the energy that you don't consume will be shared. And that is the second benefit. So the two benefits are direct benefits for the people that will install the solar panels and will share the energy. So that's what we have been doing, and I'm really proud of my team that in less than 1 year, as I mentioned, we have more than 40 projects in implementation representing 29 megawatts. I'm pretty sure the people that knows decentralized world know the meaning of 29 megawatts at this level. And as I would like to share, this solution, the importance of this solution is that adapts to different configurations. It's not one size fits all. And that's the benefit. As you can see, we are creating the energy communities from north to south of Portugal, from the interior to the littoral, with different companies. As you can see, different sectors, different configurations, from service to factories to sports to social sector. Santa Casa de Misericórdia, I will talk a little bit about the specific project that we are doing with them. So again, this is the solution that brings different configurations and allows people to create value for themselves, but also for the community. So I would like, of course, to start with the first one. And at Green Vault in Energia Unida, we really like to lead by example. So we take this very seriously. So the first energy community that we created is exactly on the building that we are. For people that knows, it's this building that is right in the back of the stadium of Benfica. It's a stadium where it's shared with different companies, including Cofina, ourselves. But the owner of the building is not belonging to our group, is an investment fund, PC Invest. And what was really interesting, and again shows the value of the solution, is that we involved the owner and us that are the consumers. So basically, creating the energy community on the rooftop of the building, we create the value for everyone. The investment fund, of course, doesn't consume energy. They are not there in the building, so they don't have any interest about consumption of energy. What they do have, because they are an investment fund in real estate, they have an interest in valuation of their assets. And two things should come to your mind. One is ECG requirements that are becoming more and more tough for investment funds. Even today, I heard the bank, the president of Portuguese Caixa Geral de Depósitos mentioned this. Financing is being close to complying with net zero, the ECG. So they have an interest. And the second one is that they start to have numbers about how much you increase the value of assets if you have solar panels on the rooftop. And the number now is around 5 to 10% when comparing a building, identical building with solar panels and a building without. The valuation of the building increased by 5 to 10%. So there is economic interest even if you don't consume energy. Of course, for us, Green Vault, Cofina, and there was an interest. We are users of the building. We want to reduce our own bills, so we have a benefit of using this energy. And upon Lisbon, that is an hotel that is across the street, is also, again, a hotel, typically has more activity during the week. The building, fortunately, we go home for our weekends at Energia Unida at Green Vault, so the consumption of the building lowers. What happens during the weekend? The energy is shared with the hotel. I mentioned the first one. Now I will mention the last one that was announced this week. Totally different project with it. That is one of the biggest transformers of tomato in Portugal products. Here, basically, we are, again, taking advantage of a sector that before the self-consumption was not a solution. Why? There's two factories that transform tomato in tomato products. They basically work 6 months a year. So they are seasonal. So they need to wait for the tomato to come, and then they will transform, and then they will lower the activity. Why there was a problem for individual self-consumption? Doesn't make the investment only for 6 months will not make the sense. Why it makes sense now? Because when I'm not consuming, I will share the energy with other people, families, companies that can share. So that's why this approach is also very important for sectors where there is seasonality. So think about it again, this kind of agriculture, but also, as we would mention, sports. If you think about what we have in our country, in other countries, about installations of sports, and I'm not meaning only football. Here, it was the first one, and I'm very proud because it's from my hometown. But you can think other sports. But here, Feirense, that has 2 facilities in Santa Maria da Feira, that is the stadium and the training facilities. Basically, they use it sporadically, right? Even during the day. And most of the times, they use it at night. So they didn't have any interest on putting solar panels because, well, they will not benefit from it. So when we come with collective self-consumption, what we did 2 things. One was actually to connect the 2 installations because they are apart less than 4 kilometers. So they share the energy. The training facility has more use because they have a swimming pool, so they have a lot of more use than actually the stadium. So if, for example, in the training facility there is need of energy in the stadium is not being used, the energy automatically will be shared with the facility. But the remaining energy, and that's the most important part, will be shared with the families and the companies of Santa Maria da Feira within a circle of 4 kilometers. And that I'm very proud again to be with Rodrigo Nunes, the president of Feirense, developing this project. Another one, again, a very different. We know in Portugal, tourism is so important for our economy and will be, and we want to create value. We want not only to create increase in tourism in terms of volume, but we want also to attract value and retain value in our country. So I'm very proud. One of the first projects that we did with Vanguard Properties in Comporta, where the ambition is to create the biggest energy community by megawatts installed. And basically, this is a very unique opportunity to show how it can work the 3, I will say, values of sustainability: economic, environment, and social. Why? So this is the permits will have the houses, individual houses of the guests. We'll have a hotel. We'll have a golf course. It will have another installations. And the idea, because we know that most of these houses will not be used during the year, it will be sporadically used. The idea is to actually manage the energy inside first of the installations, but more interesting is to connect this with the outside of Comporta and share the energy with including specifically to the employees of Comporta permits. So we will actually allow people that work in the facility to consume energy at an even lower cost. So it's a really, again, shows that this is economic point of view is important, but also from a social point of view is important. And since we are talking about social, I'm very proud also of this initiative that we announced very recently. It's called Comunidades Inclusivas. So we subscribed the United Nations goal for the millennium for 2030. And we commit ourselves, in this case, Energia Unida, to a very challenging goal that is by 2030, we are able to help 250,000 people in a situation of energy poverty. As you know, recently studies shows that in Portugal it's calculated that around 2 million people are in a situation of energy poverty. So we want and we challenge ourselves that we want to, through our model, help arrive to this impact of 250,000 people. And also I'm proud because this is showing slides is kind of easy, but more important is what we do. And what we do, we are installing, as we speak, in Bicesse, that is in Cascais, in the municipality near Lisboa. in partnership with Santa Casa Misericórdia de Cascais, a community that we are proud that will help the children of this the school for children, but more importantly, the excess of production that we'll have here will be shared at zero cost to families that are in energy poverty situation. So, of course, this makes us very happy because it shows that it's possible to have a business, but a business that has a social impact and a positive social impact. So, to sum up all that I've been showing, what we do, just to clear what Energia does, our mission is to share energy produced locally. All that we do is with this goal of reducing the invoice of people, or families, or companies. That's what we do. All that we do next on the first line is instrumental for that. So starting with investment or projects, we give the options to our partners. It can be the partner investment or can be ours. So fortunately, we are in the Green Vault group that is financial capacity to finance, but when the clients prefer to invest, and I will say it's a huge and a very good investment, I will recommend everyone that has money and can invest and can think about the investment to think about this investment. We are talking about investments that right now can have payback times of 3 years, 4 years for an asset that has 25 years of life. So I would consider, but unfortunately in Portugal specifically, a lot of companies or families don't have the money to invest. So in those cases, what we do is energy as a service contract. We invest ourselves and we share the savings with the client. So first part that we do. Second part, of course, if we are in the solar energy, we take care of all project, installation, operation, of the solar panels. So within the group, we are our own installer, our company that does the installation for a long time. So I think even to give trust that what we do, we know what we are doing. So the Profit Energy does this for 6 years, has already almost 100 megawatts installed. So this also gives confidence that even Energia Unida, that is a newer company, we use installation with quality and resilience. And then what is specific of our business model is the two parts. So member acquisition, of course, while in solar panels, installing the solar panels and operating them is the end of the conversation typically. With us is the beginning of the conversation, because after the installation is when the community starts to raise. Because as I usually say, in our business model, you only can share what you create. So first you need to produce the energy and then you can share the energy. So we take care of not only connecting the people, but then to manage the member acquisition, if members left, if they have a question, sending invoices, sending a billing, etc., etc., etc. So that's what we have, and the people that we have to do that. And of course, we need also to be able to share. So in Portugal, all the safety of the or gatekeeper of the system is Redes, the distributor. So we are connected to the distributed, and as the managing entity in Portugal called EGAC, the acronym, so it's called EGAC, we take all the responsibilities towards the distributed system operator to fulfill that. So to sum up in a very quickly, this is kind of our model, and probably there are other models, and it's always good to have comparison to select the best. But our model is very simple. We have two types of members. We have what we call anchor member. Again, you only can share what you produce. So that's what our focus is, finding the right installations, the right partners that are able to produce energy not only for their self-consumption, but also to share, and of course to have the benefits of it, but then to have what we call consumer members, that typically are families, companies that cannot produce their own energy, or because they don't have a rooftop, if they live in apartments, or for example, if they have already all full of solar panels, they are not able to have more, and they will be interested in consume more solar energy. So we are very focused on our mission. So and we believe that we are devoting our resources to continuous developing this platform that allows the different members to be connected, to of course to have the security of knowing how much energy they are generating, how much energy they are consuming, what is the savings that they are having, what is the opportunity they belonging to this community. And of course, just to sum up, I'm getting to the end and then I'm open for questions. On how we work, and again, this is our business model, but there are others in the market. We focus in kind of a B2B, B2C approach. So first, the anchor members, we typically look to buildings, areas with some scale that allows, again, to create more energy that is consuming that installations, because of course you can only share what you produce. So that's kind of our first step. Then, because we want to share, we, according to the Portuguese regulation, we need to be sure that there are consumers around that will be interested in participating in that community. Typically, we want consumption to be a key driver, of course, because if you want to reduce, as we said, that is our main goal, to reduce the bill, to have impact, and impact is done in consumption. Well, right now, I think everyone is being impacted. And as you probably heard, the news for 2023 are not very, I would say, positive. And of course, we also want to engage with partners that have social responsibility, because I think this is important to be focused on the three components. But I'm the first one to say, economic is the most important. And there, I think if you were here with João Manceneto yesterday, you probably heard them. To have real sustainability, you have to have economic sustainability. And that's why we believe that this approach creates sustainability in the three aspects: economic, environment, and social. And of course, we have a focus team. Energia Unida only does this. So we only do this solution, as I mentioned, self-collective, self-consumption. We have a big team that is being growing. So this is a team that we have without even doing a year of, we will celebrate soon, but I think this is the most important part of our success, is a team that is dedicated to this solution. We don't do supply of energy, we don't do energy efficiency, we don't do anything else. We only do collective self-consumption, and our promise to our partners is that we will find the solution that will reduce their bill with clean energy. So this is what I have for you. Thank you very much, and I'm open to questions.
I think that was a comprehensive presentation, but do we have questions from the audience? Yes, gentlemen.
Do you have some partner in Brazil, in south of Brazil, or something like that?
No, just a good question. Energia Unida is focused in Portugal right now. So again, we believe a lot that we first need to deliver results, then to think about expansion. So we are doing this. Of course, we have a restriction, as you understand, that is the legal context of allowing this business model or not. But we are not in Brazil, but maybe one day we'll be there. If we are invited, especially.
It sounds as if there's nascent interest. Do we have any other questions? We went slightly over with that, so I think we'll have to move on. But our friend towards the back? And we'll make this the final question here, because I think you just told us everything, to be honest.
Obrigada. Primeiro gostava de perguntar, que eu não acabei por não fixar muito bem, qual é que é a rentabilidade anual do investimento? A segunda questão tem a ver com o equipamento, uma vez que parece que a demanda é muito alta já em Portugal, em termos de implementação da energia solar. Os equipamentos e materiais já estão a ser pensados em serem fabricados cá, ou não? Porque isto irá impactar claramente na fatura do consumidor final. E depois outra, mais por uma questão de curiosidade, e peço desculpa pela minha ignorância. Nos meses de inverno, como é que é compensada a demanda, visto que deve haver uma redução em termos, pelo menos quando se trata de energia solar? Obrigada.
Muito obrigado. I'll answer in English if it's okay. Okay. So starting for the first question, that is very important. As I said, profitability and being economical, solid business model is fundamental. Of course, I cannot disclose you the numbers because it's kind of part of the business itself, but it's positive and creates value for us to continue to invest. And again, that's kind of what we believe that this, and I will say, important to grow. And to go to the second question that you said, that I think it's even more important than the first question. It's true, there is a very complicated situation in the market overall, but in the energy market, in terms of supply, logistics, there is a huge problem. And we also understand that the problem probably will increase. Why? Demand will increase, and the fundamentals on the supply are very problematic. Right now, I would say that all the economy is adjusting to what happened to COVID and now the war, but there is a lot of things that now are obvious, and sometimes, without going in detail, but I think Europe, talking as a European person and looking from the European eyes, that probably we see that some things that were done in the past probably were not in the best interest of putting us in a different situation right now. The thing is that we cannot, we say, chorar o leite derramado. We need to go move forward and find the solutions, especially as you mentioned, production of materials, meaning from the most obvious to not obvious. Solar panels, inverters, but also other equipments that until now no one believed that will be scarce. There are things that are sometimes disappearing from the market, and no one, things that cost like 20 euros a piece or something that was very cheap, but suddenly it disappears from the market. So that's a challenge. And again, that's why you need to have a focused team, focus on all the key elements of your value chain, including procurement. So procurement is a really critical aspect. In terms of production, I hope Europe will be able to increase. And the last question, of course, we have seasonality. Energia Unida, right now we are working in solar energy that has its obvious limitations, not only during the night, but also winter versus summer. There is changes. So one thing that is important, this model, you continue to have your supply contract normally. You don't need to do anything. So you continue to be connected to the grid, and there is no risk of disconnecting. So the energy is managed in the same way. For the client, it's seamless. So it's seamless where the energy only in the end of the month when the bill will come and they will say X% is from the energy community, X% is from your supplier. It's when you realize where the difference are. But in terms of electricity from an engineering point of view, for the client is the same. So what happens in the winter? You will consume more from the grid. What happens more during the summer? You will consume less from the grid. And of course, everyone is talking about, and we also look into it, batteries and other solutions that allow to manage better the energy. I think that will be in a very soon part of the solution also.